Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're doing something a bit different, a really focused analysis.
That's right. We're diving straight into just one source.
Exactly. It's a 2013 preview, well, a preview and review from Moviescramble about the film Cheap Thrills.
Simple source, but packed with stuff to talk about.
Totally. We're not just going to recap the movie. We want to dig into how this specific piece, this preview, sets up the film's really brutal core question.
The ethical gut punch, you could say?
Yeah. And the reviewer puts it perfectly. It's our starting point. Ever wondered what lengths you would go to in order to earn some much-needed cash?
And that line right there, it frames everything for this deep dive, doesn't it? We're looking at morality, sure, but driven entirely by financial desperation, immediate ruin.
Right.
And this piece, the one by John MacArthur, it really works because it makes those ethical lines feel so real. It grounds this kind of wild premise in something we can all, relate to, economic anxiety.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit then. The review introduces Craig, the main character, and it just hits you with the details of his situation. It really makes his desperation concrete. For you listening, the stakes aren't abstract. They feel immediate, personal almost.
Yeah, it pulls you in.
He's in this absolute crisis, spiraling really, just got fired,
Right.
facing eviction. And the clock is seriously ticking on his family stability. He needs money, not just, pocket money, but to support his wife, his kid.
And what's really striking there is the precision of the crisis. The reviewer actually points out the eviction deadline is 3 days away.
3 days. Wow.
Why is that specific timeline so important, do you think? It's more than just plot, right?
Well, yeah, it kind of backs him into a corner. There's no room to wiggle, no time for moral debates.
Exactly. If it was just vague future money trouble, he and we as the audience could maybe rationalize things, find other options.
Signed excuses.
Right. But 3 days, he can't wait for a new job, can't get a loan. It forces this survivalist thinking. Immediate action is the only path.
And add the wife and kid.
And boom, it just shreds his ability to think about anything but getting cash. Now.
So just when he's hit rock bottom, the catalyst shows up. Craig and a friend bump into this rich couple who are, and this is how the review puts it, out looking for a night of fun. Instantly sets up this predator-prey thing.
Yeah, it's quite stark. And then comes the money, the offer.
The big one.
A huge sum, $250,000 if they'll do a series of challenges through the night. We should probably talk about that number itself. What, 250 grand? Why not? Like 10,000.
Good point. 10,000 is, well, it's rent money. Maybe fixes the immediate problem.
Barely.
But $250,000, that's escape velocity money.
Yeah.
That's life-changing. Freedom money.
Precisely. If it was just enough to cover rent, the challenges that follow would just feel pointlessly cruel, maybe.
Yeah, ridiculous.
But $250,000, that's not just solving the eviction. It's a total transformation, a different future.
A whole new life.
Right. And that massive amount, it makes the risk, no matter how awful the tasks get, seem terrifyingly tempting.
The review really stresses that, doesn't it? It's like he's trading his entire dignity, not just, putting up with some embarrassment for survival.
Exactly. It's a much bigger bargain.
Okay, so the premise is set. Desperate guy, huge money, rich couple.
Yeah.
But the structure, how the review describes it, that's the real hook.
How the challenges evolve.
Yeah. It says they start simple, but then get more twisted and bizarre as the evening goes on. That escalating structure, it shifts the whole tone, right? From financial drama to something darker, more corrosive.
Yeah, and if you connect that escalation to the bigger picture, it really forces you, the viewer, the reader of this preview, to confront that core dynamic.
Which is?
The collision between total financial desperation and just unchecked leisure. Boredom, even.
Rich people's boredom.
Yeah. The couple, they're driven by kicks, by the power their money gives them to just mess with people. Craig's driven by the need to protect his family. It's primal versus perverse.
That's a good way to put it. And what's fascinating is how the source describes the tone they expect. Quite a lot of fun in a sick and twisted way.
That phrase, it's doing a lot of work there.
It really is. It's almost like an invitation, isn't it? It signals to the reader, hey, you're kind of invited to watch this dark spectacle too.
It definitely creates a kind of complicity. You're meant to be disgusted by the couple, sure, but also maybe captivated by how far things go.
Watching the train wreck.
Kind of. And it raises that question, right? When someone's survival depends on someone else's amusement.
Yeah.
Who really holds the power, even if there's a big paycheck at the end.
And here's where the preview gets really clever, I think. it acts like a psychological hook.
How so?
The reviewer flat out warns that the situation probably will not end pleasantly. That's not your usual spoiler avoidance.
No, it's almost the opposite, giving away the ending, sort of.
So what does telling the audience that upfront achieve? Why give that warning?
Well, I think it shifts your focus. It takes away the simple suspense of will things go wrong?
Because you already know they will.
Right, so instead you're focused entirely on the process, the how. How bad does it get? How does he degrade himself?
It becomes about the journey into darkness, not the destination.
Exactly. The reviewer's saying, look, you know this guy's making a deal with the devil. Come watch him pay the price, step by awful step.
Yeah.
The $250K is just the ticking clock counting down to, well, whatever unpleasantness awaits.
Grim. Okay, let's maybe pivot slightly. Let's look at the filmmaking details the source mentions, things that add to this mood.
Okay.
It notes the director, E.L. Katz, and points out he's a first-time feature director. Why mention that? Does that matter when selling a film this morally tricky?
It can, yeah. Often a debut film, especially in genres like horror or thriller, it suggests something raw, maybe uncompromising,
Less polished, maybe.
or less willing to pull punches. A studio veteran might soften the edges, but a first-timer, they might push boundaries harder. So mentioning that primes the audience. Expect something abrasive, maybe even shocking. It fits the story.
That makes sense. Implies a bit of risk, like the film itself. But the source gives us something sensory.
Ah, the music.
Yeah. It highlights that the trailer uses the song Dirge by Death in Vegas over the impressive visuals. That's specific, not just generic, tense music.
No, not at all.
What does picking that track signal?
Well, Death in Vegas, their sound is often unsettling, atmospheric, electronic, trip-hoppy, not exactly feel-good music.
Definitely not.
And dirge, I mean, the definition is a song of mourning, a lament.
Right.
So using that tells a potential viewer, this isn't just a cheap thriller, despite the title. It's aiming for something serious, atmospheric, heavy. It reinforces that fatalistic vibe, almost film noir.
It grounds the whole thing, makes it feel like a serious cinematic experience, not just exploitation. And we should also remember the timing. The review is August 2013. The film was currently on the festival circuit.
Ah, good point. So the buzz was likely more organic, critical buzz, not just marketing push.
Exactly. Adds a bit of weight to the praise, maybe.
Definitely. Now, maybe we should touch on the source itself. Moviescramble and the author, John MacArthur.
Right, the editor-in-chief.
And his interests, listed right there in his bio, they provide a kind of interesting lens for his take on this story. He likes film noir, sci-fi, and Julia Roberts and Notting Hill.
That is quite a mix. Noir, all shadows and cynicism.
Yeah.
Paired with, like, the ultimate glossy, feel-good rom-com. How does that combination shape how he sees cheap thrills?
Well, it creates this really interesting contrast, I think. His noir side appreciates the mechanism, the trap Craig falls into, the fatalism.
The dark machinery of the plot.
Exactly. But his appreciation for something like Notting Hill, that represents the simple, safe, kind of normal life, the very thing Craig is fighting so desperately to hold on to.
Ah, so he's watching someone destroy themselves to protect the kind of life represented by the rom-com.
Precisely. It makes his appreciation for the film's cynical core even more powerful, maybe. Because he gets what's being lost. He sees the stakes on both sides.
Yeah, that tracks. It shows he's not just digging the nastiness for its own sake. He sees the human cost. The review really does capture that tension, the visceral ethical problem versus this staggering amount of money. It really forces you, the listener, to do the math in your head. Dignity, safety, maybe your life, for $250,000 when you're 3 days from losing everything.
So yeah, wrapping up this deep dive, the source material, this one preview, it just masterfully sets up the film as this pressure cooker.
Totally.
It uses that immediate crushing need fired, facing eviction, and slams it against the casual, almost careless wealth of the couple.
That contrast is everything.
And that tension is the perfect setup to explore the really dark corners of human behavior under extreme pressure. All for that. Well, maybe it's more like $500,000 prize, if you factor in what gets lost along the way.
So what's the takeaway here? I think the preview forces you to think about that exact tipping point. Where does self-preservation slide into self-degradation?
Yeah.
It skips the abstract philosophical debate and just makes it visceral, economic, gut level, which leaves us, and you, with one last thing to chew on. That preview explicitly says it probably will not end pleasantly.
Right, that warning again.
So, thinking about that, where does the real responsibility lie in a setup like this? Is it with the person who's so desperate they have to accept the deal to survive?
Hmm.
Or is it with the people who are so rich, so maybe bored, that they invent the twisted game in the first place?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or the $250,000 question.
Something to think about next time you see the power dynamics of money playing out.